Welcome to the Godfathers of Podcasting, broadcasting live every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Now, in case y'all didn't know, they've been podcasting since before podcasting was even called podcasting. Archives of this show are available on every major podcast provider, and you can find video archives, merch, and more on their website, godfathersofpodcasting.com. Now, here are your hosts, two guys who've been broadcasting online since 1996. The Godfathers of Podcasting themselves, Donnie Da Silva and Chris Tidwell.
Yes, that's us. It's episode 154. It is October 5th, 2023. Hello, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving weekend to all members of the audience in Canada. For our American audience, no, you're not high. It is October. We just do shit different here. Like Gina said in the intro, I'm Donnie. The man next to me is the burger to my fries, the guacamole to my burrito, the bacon to my eggs. It's Notorious TID, Chris Tidwell.
Burrito?
Yeah.
Well, where's
You're
the burrito
guacamole. You're the thing that everybody wants more of.
Where is the burrito from, Donnie?
Are you gonna get territorial because you're Mr. Mexico? Is that
No.
where you're heading with me?
Mexico is Mexico. I just wonder if you know
If I know what?
where the burrito
comes from Taco Bell.
Oh, no. But you know what does come from Taco Bell? Every hard shell that you've ever eaten a fucking taco out of. Legit. They're the ones that invented that hard shell.
Hard shell?
Yeah. So there you go.
I'm not going to lie. I like me a hard shell taco.
Burritos come from the United States, much like nachos. Not really a fucking thing in Mexico.
Is that right?
Yeah.
But they like a chimichanga.
Oh my God.
No?
I hate you so much. I don't even know why you exist sometimes. You are by far.
Is that not an authentic Mexican staple, the chimichanga?
No, that it's about as much of an authentic Mexican staple as speaking Portuguese is in Brazil.
Well, that is a staple.
Exactly.
They actually do
I mean
that
Brazilian.
There.
They speak Brazilian?
No, there's no such thing.
Same thing.
Portuguese.
Wow.
Listen, folks, before we go much further,
Uh-huh.
I just want to announce that within the last hour, we did have some breaking news, Tid.
A little bit of news. Breaking current news.
Oh yeah.
Breaking news. So breaking news, Chicago Bears legend, the monster of the Midway, the man with a name that should have belonged to a porn star, Dick Butkus, has passed away at the age of 80. Interestingly, Tid, he is a NFL legend, played 9 seasons, just 9 seasons because of a really bad knee injury that with today's modern medicine, he probably would have been recovered in 8 months. Only played 9 seasons, 8-time Pro Bowler. But here's an interesting piece of Dick Butkus trivia. Never once made the playoffs.
Crazy.
Right?
And do you think he's, I mean, listen, it's no secret that he's known for his name first and foremost, right? It's one of the only ones that you can still get on the back of a jersey and, and they'll actually print it, right? But I think he became probably more well-known even without the movie stuff that he did, Saturday Night Live, dude. You know what I mean? The Bears, like that whole gimmick was built around him. Right? Yeah. And every movie he was in was him. It was Coach Dick Butkus. It wasn't, you know what I mean? It was always Coach Dick, right? Like it was, he was synonymous with the Bears, even though he didn't have, like he was the guy who managed to work the gimmick. You know what I mean?
He milked it for every drop.
Yeah.
And he turned that name, that face, he turned it into a fairly prominent acting career. You and I were talking about this off air earlier. I'll guarantee you there's a generation of people that aren't really aware of him as a football player, but they're aware of the fact that he's in Any Given Sunday, Necessary Roughness. He was on popular TV shows like Matlock, Night Court, Growing Pains, Love Boat, Magnum PI. He was on Tid. Maybe he was on a show with maybe my all-time favorite theme song.
That's enough of that. I don't need to get this copywritten, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah, you know what? And I noticed that you didn't mention Kicking and Screaming, the Will Ferrell movie that he did about soccer, because
I wish I could forget that one.
Ooh, dude, I got sucked in. I got sucked in on one of those like, I don't think I've ever seen this Will Ferrell movie, right? So I'm like, let's watch this one. It should be funny, right? You would think.
Are you a huge Will Ferrell aficionado?
No, okay. Clearly not, because I've never seen this movie, and I think it was from like 2008 or something. You know what I mean? But yeah. I enjoy a good Will Ferrell character, right? And I was like, okay, let's see what we're going to get out of this, because I'd never seen this. And I was like, well, it's got to get funny sometime. And before you knew it, it was the closing credits. I was like, well, there's an hour and a half of my life I'm never going to get back.
Is there a Will Ferrell movie that I'm not saying people in general, but you personally laugh out loud at?
Yep.
What is it? Because you're pretty stoic with your comedy.
Anchorman.
Okay, that's a safe bet.
Yep.
Safe bet. Yep. Tid, do we have our guest waiting backstage?
1,000,000% he is.
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, let's do it right now. It is time for the big hello. And I first met this week's guest when he was just a teenager working at TSN Sports Network in Toronto. We were both sitting in the newsroom slogging away while I made a mess of the company's website. One of the perks of that gig was we both got to contribute to TSN's wrestling page, which at the time was a top destination for WWF and WCW news, rumors, and info. By 2002, he launched Survivor Central, which was a one-stop shop for all things Survivor. And thanks to that site and the connections he built while running it, he became known online as the quintessential Survivor expert. In 2004, his site merged with Inside Pulse. Tid, you'll remember, a great entertainment site that used to be an affiliate of a podcast that you and I hosted together many years ago. He continued his career in entertainment, having worked at Entertainment Tonight Canada, the Toronto Sun and the Star, the National Post, CTV, Global News, a prominent morning show, and a couple of other major radio stations. Over the years, his online rep has evolved from the Survivor guy to the reality TV guy, which led to him serving as host and executive producer of the show Reality Obsessed. The first episode of that sucker landed him a Gemini. Ladies and gentlemen, he loves reality TV so much it hurts. He binges it all, doesn't watch in spurts. He cheers them all on, even the introverts. When wrestling is on, his attention diverts. But back to Survivor, his heart reverts. He eats them all up like tasty desserts. He always keeps it classy, isn't trying out flirts. Now give it up for Mr. Jaffer, first name Murtz.
Wow, I've gotten a lot of intros. That might be the best ever. That might be.
Hold on, who else is in the conversation?
Oh, I've had quite a few. I mean, I'm known for sort of this like Murtz language that I've invented. Like, I use terms like use your Murtzgination or like that was Murtznificent, and like I just feel like you totally read the playbook to like warm me up, because that was quite an intro. I don't even know if I can like do the interview after that.
All right, good night.
All right.
Why do you? It's like we're talking to a tan Steve Carell right now with his own language.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I've gotten older Urkel for most of my life, but then I basically just like flash the resume, and all those like critics and haters, they just go bye-bye. That's it.
Do you walk around with like a scroll of your credits?
I do actually. Yes. Yeah. Donnie will tell you. 100%.
That is the douchiest shit I've ever heard.
100%. Yeah. 100%.
My resume, everybody.
Yeah, boom. Wow. There it is. And actually, I'll tell you a funny story there. There was a time when I was at Canada's Wonderland in 1992, and they had Ian Ziering from 90210 making an appearance there.
Wait, isn't it Ian?
It might be Ian. I mean, it's been a long time. I think it might be Ian. I think it might be.
I just remember that because I thought your fucking name is Ian. Stop being so pretentious.
Yeah. Well, he So like you know, I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of that story, but suffice to say, like my dad helped me sneak in to the backstage area because I didn't win the draw to meet him backstage, but I was a huge 90210 fan. This is like pre-reality TV. And I ended up like meeting him there, and I got a photo with him when I was like 12, where he's like standing behind me. I'm like this little kid in front of him. Now, you brought up the fact that like I carry my CV with me. Well, this actually turned into something because in 2010, when I was in LA filming my show, we were at the grocery store, me and a couple of my producers, and one of them comes up to me and they're like, "Oh my God, Murtz, you won't believe who's here." And I'm like, "Who?" And he's like, "Oh, that guy from 90210." And I'm like, "Oh my God, which one?" And they go, "You know, the blonde guy." And I'm like, as Donnie said, Ian Ziering. I'm like, "You won't."
You're like, no, this is what Murtz did. Is it Luke Perry? No, the other one. Is it Jason Priestley? No, the other one. Is it Ian? He won't talk to you. You don't know how to say his name.
Brian Austin Green. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I guess so. But so I go, "It's the blonde one." And she's like, "Yeah." And I go, "You won't believe it. I met that guy in 92 at Canada's Wonderland." Now, because I carry all this stuff with me on my phone,
oh my God,
going there to buy some like Wonder Bread or something. And I just walk right up to him. And I'm like, "You know, this is going to sound crazy, man." I'm like, "I met you when I was like 12. And I pull out the photo, and he is tripping out. Okay. And so then I'm like, "Let's do another photo." It's 2010. That was 92. So we recreate the same pose. Then the story gets even crazier. 2015, I'm working the Apprentice finale red carpet in New York. Ian Ziering was on that cast. So this time I'm a made man now, you know, like I'm like Tony Soprano now. So this time, like he's walking on the red carpet and I'm like waiting there to interview him, and he sees me and he's like, "You got to be kidding me." And I'm like, "Yep, same guy." I'm like 92 Wonderland, like Trader Joe's 20, and then we took another photo, and I have the three of them, and it's actually one of my favorite things. And so once that happened, it's sort of like I just like to carry everything because you never know who you're going to see again. You know, it's the same.
You just have everything on your phone, organized in a cloud, and you can pull it up at a moment's notice.
It's a lot to carry, you know.
Hold on, did they have like phones with cameras in 92?
No.
So you took a picture with the camera, and then you took a picture with your phone so that you have of that picture
scanned.
Oh, okay. Fancy.
Remember those days, Tid?
Yeah, scanned.
Wow.
Yeah.
Desperate.
I used to have a scanner, and a zip drive, and all kinds of crap I don't have anymore.
Yeah, it's just I just find that in the day and age of journalism that we're in now, like there's so few records of things. Do you know what I mean? Like if you referred to like when we had our TSN articles and stuff, or if you refer to your like Slam articles, you know, that I remember as well. There's no real like, unless you are familiar with that like Wayback Machine, you know, it's very hard to get that stuff back. You know what I'm talking about, right? And so
I've used the Wayback Machine actually, because you know the other day someone said to me, the show that you and Tid hosted back in '96, when internet radio first became a thing.
Yep.
They said, "Do you have copies of those episodes?" And I said, "I do have somewhere in a box. I don't know where. I have digital audio tapes."
Yeah.
Now, do I have a digital audio tape player? No. So the closest I've come to actually playing those is when we spoke to the lead singer from Wheatus on this show. Remember Tid? He talked about how he converted all the original Teenage Dirtbag stuff from DAT to digital format. So I talked to him and I said, "Hey, if I want to convert our old tapes, can I do that at your studio?" He was like, "Yeah, come hang out in Brooklyn. We'll do it." But at this moment, I don't have a clue where those things are. I use the Wayback Machine online to try and look at our old website.
Yeah.
It's bits and pieces. Like it's not enough to make anything out.
You can maybe get the homepage, but to actually get the file. Yeah, and I did the same thing. Like I had all the episodes. You spoke about my love for Survivor. I had all the episodes on VHS. You know, this is before I knew that all the, I mean, you don't know. You never know how technology is going to progress. You didn't know at the time that these would all be available at that time. I thought DVD was like a big thing. Now you don't even need the DVDs, right, Lan? Now you can just stream it all online, but you didn't know. So I spent a lot of money, like, tried to transfer like 20 plus seasons of my VHS tapes onto DVD, which then became irrelevant. But I'm really big on like archiving, You
know who did smarten me up to the technology becoming obsolete? A guy that you and I know, a mutual friend of ours and former mutual colleague of ours when we worked at TSN, was Brian Darkside Garside. back in those days, back in the late 90s, he had a classic VHS tape collection at his home. And I remember sitting at his place, popping in a movie, chilling out. And he said to me, one day all this shit's going to be obsolete because it's all just going to be a file on your computer.
Yeah.
And I was like, get out of here. And he's like, oh no, dude, in our lifetime, there'll be no CDs, no VHS tapes, no nothing. And I'm like, huh? Like I couldn't wrap my head around it, but he was on track.
No, I never suspected we would have it the way it is. But it's funny you mention him because I do I've been looking back a lot over the last year and a half, and I do credit Brian for a lot of my success. I hounded that guy for that job. I emailed the guy so many times, who's gonna let you write? And I guess that's the thing that wrestling and reality both have in common, and that's because there's not a lot of people, or at least at that time there weren't a lot of people doing it. It's an easy opportunity to get in, and I'm sure you can identify with that, getting it, that's a big deal. You're 17, you're in high school, and you're writing for the sports network. It doesn't really, I don't know. If I was writing a Canadian version of Almost Famous, I think that would be the first page,
Yeah, I know. And when you and I were there at TSN, it was still a little bit of the Wild West in the newsroom.
Yeah.
Right. Gino Retta would be going to do the sports update in his boxer shorts.
Yeah, well, I think we had different experiences, though. I was going to tell you that. I think you actually were in the building, right?
I was in the newsroom. I thought you were too.
No, I never was. I was freelance the entire time, and in fact, I've been freelance for most of my life. And then but it gave me that big break I needed, because that's when I got hired by Scoops Wrestling as their only Canadian writer. And then that was during the .com boom. That's when Scoops was funded by IGN, the video game company. And they would send me to Rumble, in North Carolina, or they would send me to SummerSlam. Then it was really I look back at that life and I'm just I can't believe I was doing that stuff at that age, just flying out to these hotels, when I couldn't even buy anything to drink. It's insane,
I know.
So that would have been. Hold on. Then that must have been the road to success. Then, right, was the ability to stay out of the building, because it worked so well for you, and Donnie's still here with me.
Oh my, maybe.
Hater. Maybe. No, see, my problem was while Murtz was off jet setting and doing all that stuff, I was chasing girls. That was my problem.
I see. Yeah, you can only, I feel you can.
Didn't work out. He still ended up with just one.
Yeah, I just think you gotta. I think that's a bigger discussion, but I think that I do feel very strongly that when you're a teenager, when you're sort of entering into adulthood, you have to choose the path that you're gonna take, and if you choose career, then that's all you'll ever have. And I do feel that way. I do feel that was the choice that I made. It was an active choice. I work all the time, 24/7, I'm doing something, and I like it. That's not the lifestyle for everyone. Other people want kids, or they want a family, or that's what they evaluate, as being successful. So, it's a larger discussion, but the bottom line is, as Stone Cold said, so that Garside was responsible for a lot of it right at the start.
Was that something that was pushed on you? At a young age, the you know what I mean? Pushed on you by your parents, you have to say, we don't care what it is, but you have to succeed in it.
It's so funny you chose those exact words, because yes, that was literally the advice I got as a kid was, we don't really care what you do. Would we prefer that it be doctor, dentist, lawyer? 100%, but as long as you choose something and become the best in the world at it, you will be successful. And I thought it was a great piece of advice. I've lived by it my entire life. And I realized quickly while doing wrestling that I was never going to be the guy. There were so many people, not at the time that Donnie and I, in the early 97, 97-ish. But, there was always a Scott Keith, or there was always Stone Nine Cold running 411, or there was always people around. And I realized that I would never be able to, what they'd established, I could never break. And so that's when I made the decision that it's time to pivot now. When Survivor started in 2000, I knew that if I started first, I would be the kingpin, I would be the number one guy. And pivoting was a huge decision. It was a huge risk because I can't tell you how many people told me at the time, you got to be kidding me. Like this stupid like reality show, like you're going to be in business for 2 years. Okay. Talk to me. And it's been 23 years. That was 23 years ago, you know? And so, you know, it's the advice I give everybody now, even to J schools. I'm just like, it doesn't really matter what you cover. Just pick something that other people aren't doing. That's it.
Ted, have you ever watched, like, be honest, have you ever watched a full episode of Survivor in 23 years?
Absolutely. I
Oh, you have?
I said haven't.
Oh, haven't. You totally worked me.
No, I've never watched a full episode of any of those reality. I could probably count on one hand the reality shows that I've watched. And I think some of them, the first one would have probably been Celebrity Rehab.
Okay.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
And I think some of the wrestling house stuff. What was the one that they had?
The Wrestler House. What was
no, not with the wrestlers, but they had like the one that had Mini Me and China in it.
I know the exact one you're talking about.
It's Flavor Flav and
Surreal Life.
Surreal Life. Yeah.
Boom. King of reality, Donnie. Write it down.
There you go.
Boy.
That was a test.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking of that show that was on the WWE Network where they had a bunch of veterans living in a house.
Legends House.
Oh, I did watch
Legends
that.
House.
Did watch Legends House. Yeah, absolutely.
That was a good show.
Well, because you had Piper on there, and you never knew what you were going to get because that dude could go off of the rails at any given time and toss somebody through a window.
The fascinating thing to me about that show, and if anyone out there has never seen it, even if you're not a wrestling fan, there's enough names on that show that are household names, and some of them are no longer with us. A lot of them are no longer with us. If you go and watch that show, what you'll find is really interesting is here are a bunch of people that have known each other in some cases for 4 or 5 decades. And now that they're not on the road, now that they're not competing, now that they're not working and they're just chilling in a house all day, every day for a few weeks, they're talking about subjects that they've never discussed before. And a lot of it's just normal, everyday shit that people talk about. And they're like, oh, so you got kids? Oh, wow. Oh, so wait, what happened to your wife? She died? Oh my God. Like they had no idea about this stuff, like major life stuff. And it's kind of fascinating to watch their interactions.
What else were they going to talk about though?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if they're like, you know, old legend wrestlers. I mean, that's the core of what reality is. Like, I mean, we watch it because we want a mundane escape from our own life. You know, like, I mean, that was the nucleus of how the real world was formed, which is credited as being the first reality show. It's like, you know, I've always said this, if you've had a bad day at work, you know, if something went wrong or if your boss did something bad to you, or like, let's say you went to a restaurant and you had a bad meal or something, you watch these shows because no matter how bad your life is, somebody has it worse. And you could argue that you could see that in the news. Like if you go and like read something about a developing country, but you don't want the sadness of that. You want something that you can like mock to feel better about yourself. And that's the core of reality TV. That's why it's lasted for 23 years, because that philosophy and that mandate people can't get enough of, and they never will. Not because they enjoy these shows, but because a lot of them dislike their own.
Is there like a spectrum that contains what defines reality TV? Because the other day I heard an interview with Bobby Flay, and they referred to him as a man who has over 40 reality TV shows. And he said, I don't do reality TV. I do food TV.
No, that's BS. That's totally like, if there's any component that is not, well, I mean, now you're getting into like what my show was trying to do, which was like prove which ones are and which ones aren't. But the thing is, if there's any form of scripted, if there's any form of anything being scripted, then it's not a reality show. But if you go by that strict definition, then in a way, nothing is reality. For example, Bobby Flay, when he does these cooking shows, okay, he has to shoot them in a kitchen, right? Now, anyone that like works in that kitchen or whatever studio he's turned into a kitchen, they have to sign that he is filming in that kitchen. Just by signing that location release, that's scripted, okay? Like if it was voyeuristic TV, Gonzo TV, then it would just be a camera following him around. You could never get away with that because you need licenses for him to be on the street, other people in the shot, location releases. So
Right.
by its very definition, nothing is a true reality show. We have sort of morphed that definition to make it fit now, which is, you know, like as long as it features, quote, real people. Are they even real people? No. 3/4 of these shows rely on like scouting or like, you know, recruits. So even that portion of it is not really reality. So you know, if you want the lay definition or like how we sort of classify something as reality, it's somebody that's not a celebrity is in the show. Okay. So it's, you know, like if it's Tom Cruise, it's not a reality show unless it's about his life, not him playing Ethan Hunt. Is it something where we don't know what happens? That also qualifies as a reality show. Is it like a documentary show like the Kardashians where it's showing their lifestyle? Yes, but really, even that is scripted because they choose which footage they put in that episode. So really, it's a fallacy. Like there's no such thing as like reality TV. We're just associating it with what we think it is.
So what are you building a career on?
That fallacy. That fallacy.
How do you explain that movie where Nicolas Cage played Nicolas Cage?
That's such a good movie.
Yeah, it's such a, and actually I just saw one at TIFF that's even better than that. I think it's called like The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, something like that, right? Yeah, fantastic movie. His new one that premiered at TIFF, Dream Scenario, is just one of the best movies I think I've seen in my life. But well, how do I explain that? Well, it's still scripted. Like he's like it's Nicolas Cage under his name, but like he's playing Nicolas Cage the character, not Nicolas Cage the man. They're making you trying to think that it's Nicolas Cage the man, but he's actually a character. Like on that script, it says Cage is like lead one, named Nick Cage. You know. Anyway, we're getting into semantics here. I mean, to answer your question though, it's taken me a long time to understand that. I'd say just over the last like 9 or 10 years have I realized that there's no such thing really as reality TV. Because that word doesn't really exist, you know, like you can't make a reality show without scripting some components.
Yeah, there has to, even if it's not scripted and it's just like conversations with the producers to suggest it in a way or something like that. Didn't they, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it in Toronto back in like early 2000s, they had a show, The Loft or something like that, was it?
The Loft,
right? Where it was just young adults living in this loft down on Richmond Street 100%. In the entertainment district, right?
Hey, didn't we know someone that was on that show?
I went there. I was in a couple of episodes. Not episodes, but we had gone down there to be part of some of the tapings during the night because there wasn't really episodes. It was just straight up camera set up in this loft, and these dudes and girls just lived in there.
That's right.
Right? And that to me is reality TV.
There has been like I can't off the top of my head, I don't have the years, but there's two things I want to tell you about that show. The first one was how many careers it launched. TSN Sports Center anchor Jennifer Hedger, I believe, was on that show.
Correct.
Marissa Cox, the host of
Cox,
was on that show. I remember there was a little bit of a controversy in that same time period where like everybody always credits The Real World for being like the first reality show. And I remember there was some sort of like chirping that like, no, it was actually the Lofters, like Canada did it first. And that The Real World might have even been established from what the Lofters was doing. I don't have those years for you, but certainly it's something that's like worth looking up. Like after this, I can't remember which one came first. Certainly like if we're talking about like North America, yes, Lofters was the first Canadian and Real World was the first American, but we also have to preface that by saying prime time. There are all kinds of like daytime, like weirdo shows, but I'm only dealing in like prime time.
Right.
I mean, if you're really going to split hairs, ultimately, when you look at shows like Big Brother, Survivor, ultimately they're game shows, right? You can call them whatever you want, but ultimately they're game shows.
Yeah. And it's just that reality TV is a cooler title. That's all it is.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, if you're going to go by that logic, then you got Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, whatever else.
And you raise a really good point because I do believe, like, if you're going by the letter of what I just told you, yes, those shows feature real people. They're spinning a wheel. Same with Deal or No Deal. Same with Family Feud. All of them, like, they're all like competitive shows, you know. So, and they don't feature celebrities. So yeah, you raise a good point. I do believe those count. I believe the Bobby Flay ones count. I believe all the like Guy Fieri ones count. All of them count. You know.
Even
let me ask you this:
The Apprentice, right?
Oh, that's like one of my all-time favorites. Yes.
So what was it like? Because we saw the picture. What was it like when you met Trump?
Oh,
how was he?
It's such a great story. It is. I mean, this is probably out of all the stories I could tell you, this is my favorite one. What happened was in that first season of Apprentice, I wasn't a reporter then. Like at that point, I think I was still doing a lot of wrestling. I hadn't made the decision to like make that switch, you know? And I somehow finagled an invite to that Apprentice finale party. There was a party in New York, and it was at Planet Hollywood. And I didn't go in the sort of like space of being a reporter. I just went as like a fan and attendee. And when I got to this party, I saw sort of like a class system. You know, I saw that like all the normal people were sort of on the bottom floor of Planet Hollywood, and all of the celebrities were on the top floor. And that included like Sugar Ray Leonard was there. I believe Stallone was there. Trump was there. And I went with a friend of mine, and I told him, look, no matter what happens tonight, you just get the photo of me and Trump. And he goes, what do you mean? And I go, look, if people find out I went to the Apprentice finale, the first thing they're going to ask me is, did you see Trump? Did you meet Trump? Just like you just did. And I said, I need proof that I did it. And he goes, how are you going to get up there? There's like 4 security guards. I'm like, you just take the photo. Let me worry about the rest. And so what happened was I took a menu from Planet Hollywood, and I like run up to like the guy that has like an earpiece. And I go to him, look, Trump's got to sign this. Trump's got to sign this. Like he's got to sign this right now. My limo is waiting. And the guy's like, what do you mean? And he's like, he's trying to get on his earpiece. I'm like, there's no time. There's no time. I'm late for a flight. So the guy just doesn't question me, leads me and my friend up the stairs. Okay. I get up there, and the security guy goes up to Trump, and he goes, hey, Donald, no, he didn't say Donald. He said, Mr. Trump. This guy says, and before he can even explain like this paper, this random paper that I wanted him to sign, I'm like, Donald, look over there. Donald looks, boom, I get the photo. We get promptly kicked out, like immediately.
Really?
We get immediately. And like my friend and I went in like 2 different directions. We meet back up at the hotel, and I get the photo. Now, why is this story so good? It's not that story. The story is good because that's when I sort of started this idea of like, let me just wear the same outfit to everything. Like they're always going to remember me if I wear the same like burgundy outfit. So like I had gone prior to going to that finale to the suit store, and I said to the guy at the suit store in Toronto, I'm like, give me your ugliest suit. Give me the one that like no one wants. The one that's just been like sitting in the back. He gets this like burgundy thing. He's like, I can't get rid of this. I'm like, that's the one. Now, I wore that suit to this finale. A year goes by after this happens. This photo, we get kicked out, whatever. At this point, my whole like enterprise has started. Like I'm running the website, I'm doing interviews, I have a column in the Sun, this and this and this, and I get accredited this time to go back to the Apprentice finale for the next season. This time, I'm on the red carpet, and I'm wearing the exact same outfit that I was wearing when I like snuck to get this photo of Trump. Why do I love Trump so much? I will tell you why. He comes on that red carpet, and I am like right on the end. Like I'm like bushes are basically covering me. Okay. Like what kind of access are they going to give this like weirdo kid from Canada to this finale? Okay. So he does 2 interviews on that carpet. He does Access Hollywood, and he does Entertainment Tonight. There's like maybe 30 reporters on this carpet. He does those first 2 that are in the 1 and 2 position. Then he just walks by everyone else, just skips everyone, walks by me. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm not going to, I'll just have to be satisfied with that photo I got last year. Doubles back. And he doubled back, and he looks right at me, and he goes, how'd that photo turn out? And I was like, this guy. I'm like, how the hell do you remember that from a year ago? Like, okay, maybe I was wearing this weird outfit. Maybe it stuck out to him. And then I guess him and I sort of developed that connection ever since then. And so I've interviewed him countless of times since. Like I've interviewed him maybe 9 times. There's a great clip on YouTube where he calls me the King of Canada. He left a voicemail on my home phone. Like it's just so weird that like all of this happened because I did this like, you know, unethical thing to get this photo, you know?
That's pretty funny. You know what, dude?
You probably weren't expecting that long, like sort of sermon.
Nope.
You know, you scratched the surface on something that I had to tell you.
Absolutely. I'm here for it.
Okay.
And if you still wanted to rock that gimmick of being remembered for your outfits, I mean, you could just save a lot of time. Go shopping at Nardwar's Closet or
Perhaps.
Johnny Fairplay. He's got a lot of used shit that he doesn't need anymore.
Well, you know, you're not going to believe this but I'm going to tell you anyway. I've been wearing that same suit and that same hat for 23 years. It's been the same one. I've got the hat rewired like probably 5 times. But I'm very big on like whenever I wear that suit, I remember everything it's gotten me, you know, like I've interviewed like the biggest names in the world wearing that suit. So why would I ever change? And also, it's the best thing when you get invited to like a TIFF party or something. Everybody, oh, what am I going to wear? Never a problem for me.
Oh my God. I would lose my mind.
Never a problem for me. Never a problem for me. And I've made some dry cleaner somewhere very, very rich.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You have met everybody in the reality world.
Mm-hmm.
And you're a professional. You've been doing this a very long time, but you're human. Has there been a situation where you're face to face with a reality TV star who, when you watch them on TV, you were crushing so hard and now you're struggling to hold it together? Or did you fail to hold it together?
Oh, God, it's not a question of like one. Like how many has that happened to? Parvati for sure. Parvati, so she was on, her first season was Survivor Cook Islands, and then she went and did Micronesia, and then she did Winners at War. But that first time she did Cook Islands, at that point I was relatively established, and I just made it my life's goal to like just interview her or like whatever. And it's funny because we actually dedicated an entire episode of Reality Obsessed to her. That episode was called Date with My Dream Girl. And it basically measured how far I was willing to go to get this date. And so we brought all these other reality stars. We brought like Eliza was first, and I met her in New York, and she like took me shopping in Brooklyn to sort of find an outfit because that Parvati would like. Then I found one of like her exes, Nate Gonzalez from that same season. And he was giving me all this advice along with Kesar from Big Brother. Then I went with Aris, who won Survivor Exile Island. He was like, she likes physical guys. I'm like, that's not me. He's like, let's go rock climbing. Okay. So then he taught me how to rock climb. So this was all leading up to like the eventual ask. Okay. So then we basically, Johnny Fairplay rented out Jay-Z's club. And it was 40-40 in New York. And it was actually the night of the Micronesia finale. And the whole plan for this episode was we had led everything up to me asking her out at this Friday. Now, we didn't know that you would end up winning that night. So she ended up winning the $1 million the night of this like payoff to our episode. And I'm standing there and we're waiting for her to walk in, all of this work. As soon as she walks in, I'm going to ask her, we're going to have the end of our, she no-showed the party. And so we obviously had to, and to speak to your question about reality TV, we obviously had to have an ending. Like she just screwed up our ending, And so we just made me look like this, like unsung, like hero or whatever. I got like a very big, like hero edit. And I really held a grudge against her for a long time because of this. I had reason to believe that she knew about this party. Like the entire cast was there except her, and that she actively chose not to come. And that was further validated because I went to another party that night and she was at that party. So she just actively chose not to go to mine. Anyway, I held the grudge for a very, very long time, and years went by. Like I didn't talk to her for maybe like 12, 13 years. And then one day we were at a charity event together, and she's like, Murtz, like, why do you have a problem with me? And I'm like, you don't know. You really don't know. I'm like, you screwed me on that episode, blah, 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 blah. Well, no, that's what I wanted. But anyway, so she said, well, like, I just didn't know what it was. I didn't know about this Canadian show, whatever. And we sort of aired things out. And actually, I was at her place a couple of months ago. We sort of had a pizza. We hashed it all out. Like, we're really good friends now. And that's just how it is. So she was one. There's a lot of other people too, but that's the one that stands out. I mean, I could go forever.
So, but you're not going on 90 Day Fiance anytime soon by the sounds of it. Is that that's what that exactly sounded like to me?
Well, okay. Before I answer that, I do want to know, how do I refer to you? It's Donnie on one side, and then like, what are Tid?
Tid.
Is it Tid?
Yeah, that's
sure.
Tid.
Okay, Tid.
We've known each other long enough now. You deserve that.
Okay, Tid. Yes. Well, it goes back to what I said to you right when we started this thing. It's like, you got to make a choice, and I made that choice. Like, I choose career over everything. And so,
would you go on one of these shows though? Would you go on like to be a contestant on one?
I have been, like, I auditioned actually for Big Brother Canada once or twice. I know the casting agent for that show because she was actually on my show. And she told me that at the time, she's like, look, Murtz, I'd love to cast you. Okay. Like the one-liners, the stories, the whatever, my Murtz language would be a hit, I'm sure. But she said, the problem is that you're too known now. And so she said, the only way it could happen is if it was some sort of like twist season. Like, she likened it to the example of Frankie Grande, who was Ariana Grande's brother when he came on Big Brother, and like it would have to be some sort of like weirdo kind of twist. Do I think that they made a gigantic mistake in not putting me on Traitors Canada? Yes, I think that was a huge casting error. But that's their question to answer.
I was going to say, I think what happened with your Survivor crush, she got wind of the episode.
Yes.
She found out what you were doing, and she was pissed at you because she had sincere feelings for you, Murtz, and you tried to turn it into a TV show. And she's like, this son of a bitch. He's exploiting my feelings.
You know, the thing is like, it just goes to show you, which is the lesson that I've learned. You can't judge people by these edits. You know, like that's the biggest lesson that I've learned from this thing. The people that are generally painted as like villains are, I would say, 99.8% of the time, the nicest people. And the ones that are painted as the heroes are usually the ones that aren't like that at all. And I really believe that. It's going to be fascinating to watch that play out on a new show that I don't know if it premiered tonight, but it's premiering this week. It's on E! I got to figure out where it's airing here. But House of Villains is going to be a phenomenal show. They've collected like the biggest like jerks in reality history and just put them in a house together. And I can't wait to watch it because I'll tell you, I know probably 75% of that cast, and they're the nicest people you could ever meet on the street.
See, I can't disagree with you because despite their public perceptions, Christmas Abbott, hero.
Yeah.
Bret Hart, villain.
Yeah. I mean, it equates to like a lot of, those Bret Hart, like, those rants that he goes on, it's really clouding my, like, I had such a high opinion of him. I wrote so much about him for TSN, you know, and when everything is like a complaint. It's like I'm watching this like wrestler version of like Statler and Waldorf, those two old guys in the Muppets balcony, you know, like everything is like a complaint. Every single you were a champion, man. You know, like you were heralded as this like hero. Like your life couldn't have been that bad. It couldn't have been.
But here's the rib. He's always been that way.
Yeah.
Just now as he's gotten older, he stopped hiding it. He's always been that way.
I don't think I've ever seen an interview that he has done that was completely positive, which is really saying something. I don't think I've even seen one.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
And listen, I could tell you stories about, you know, my interactions with Bret. And the quick one I'll tell you is myself and Jeff Merrick, we were hosting the world premiere of Wrestling with Shadows at the Toronto Convention Center.
Yep.
And he went and told all the people producing this thing, oh, I'm going to be there signing autographs. So's Bulldog, so's Owen, so's Anvil. They're all coming. Everyone's coming. Okay. And so they charged like $100 for these tickets.
Yep. Yeah.
And it was like the screening, and you were supposed to get a meet and greet with all those people. So the day of the show, the promoter comes over to Bret and goes, hey, where's the rest of the guys? Oh, didn't you call them?
No.
He never reached out to anybody.
Wow.
And then we do the Q&A. So Jeff and I host the Q&A. Then afterwards, we do a short live on air interview with Bret.
Yeah.
Then he goes over to a meet and greet. There's 250 people that have all been promised an autograph and a meet and greet with Bret.
Yeah.
After about 15, 20 minutes,
he's like, I'm done.
Turns to Marcy, his PR girl, and goes, I got to get the fuck out of here.
Man.
Just say something. He gets up, bolts out the back door, and she goes, sorry, everyone. The radio guys took too long, so Bret had to leave.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Douche.
Man, oh, man. Well, you know, I mean, I've never really interacted.
Johnny doesn't know how to tell a short story.
Neither do I. Why do you think
Hey, there's a longer version of that story.
Neither do I.
There's a much longer version. Murtz, listen, I know you got stuff to do tonight, so we're going to let you go. But thanks for hanging out with us. If people want to find you online and they don't know where to find your stuff, where can they go?
Everything. And that's a tip for everyone. Just have one handle, okay? Like none of this, like whatever, like 1 in a million numbers. It's just at Murtz Jaffer. That's it everywhere. Or you can look up like weird looking guy with the burgundy hat, or you can look up like world record holder for reality show finale attendees, or you can look up former host of Reality Obsessed, or you can look up greatest producer that ever lived or will ever live. Speaking of Bret Hart.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think any
pat on the back is only 18 inches from a kick in the ass.
No, that's it. And I can prove it. Tid, do you want to see my CV? I got it on my phone here for you.
I don't even know what that means, but if it's on your phone, I don't want to see it.
Okay.
But I'll send you a picture.
Okay. Oh, I'll pass.
Okay.
Murtz, we'll do this again sometime, man.
Sounds good. Yes. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
There he goes, everybody. Murtz Jaffer, the king of reality TV. Is anyone else laying claim to that throne? I'm not sure, Ted.
I don't. No.
In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king.
I would think that the closest would probably, I mean, not as far as like reporting on it. I would think the closest would maybe be Fair Play, who's done.
Yeah. Well, Fair Play is just in everything reality.
Who's done, you know what I mean? Most of them. I think Miz is probably the guy who's gone the furthest from one.
Yeah, he has the biggest house.
You know what I'm saying? Right? Maybe the Jersey Shore kids after that. I don't know. I have no idea, dude. I don't watch.
Went from
I don't watch
Miz
them, but
went
I
from
understand.
real world to Tough Enough to a 20-year multi-million-dollar career in the WWE. Good
100%.
on him, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, as far as somebody who hasn't still had like been bouncing around, you know what I mean? Like the way like Fair Play bounced around this, you know, Fear Factor and the other shows and stuff like that. Like Miz found his niche and was like, yo, this is what I'm going to do. And he's turned it into great stuff. And he came from that reality TV show stuff, right?
Yeah.
Good for him.
Would you ever
Nope.
sit?
I'm sitting right now.
Would you ever sit and give, like, for example, Big Brother Canada? Would you sit and just say, you know what? I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it and I'm going to give it a shot from the first episode to the last episode. I'm going to watch it with an open mind. I'm going to watch these 16 people go crazy and want to kill each other. I'm just going to give it a shot. Would you ever do it?
What day is it on?
So here's the kicker.
Okay.
It's 3 nights a week.
Which nights?
So Thursday night. Well, I don't remember for Canada. So for the American show, like that's on right now,
all right,
it'll air Wednesday nights for an hour, Thursday nights Thursday nights live.
We do this show
at 9, Thursday nights live, and then Sunday nights.
Sunday nights. No, that's football time. But yeah, sorry, dude. I mean, I wish I could. I really wish. You know what I mean? I would love to be able to accommodate and skyrocket their viewership, I'm sure.
What if you had a close personal friend that was a part of the cast? Would you watch?
No, because I mean that if they are a close personal friend of mine, they're gonna fuck up on that show. Because they would definitely fuck up on that show.
What if your wife was on the show?
Then I would miss her. It's pretty simple.
You wouldn't tune in.
Tune in. I'd tune out.
That's what you do now.
No, I mean like tune out. Like bug out, bag to Mexico kind of tune out.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Listen, before we wrap this thing up, there is some more in the news from this past week.
A little bit of news.
Sure.
A little bit of news. Breaking current news.
Breaking news.
So, Tid, from the last time we stuck around and did an episode, the writer's strike is finally over. Months and months of this shit that just seized up Hollywood. Tons of TV shows and movies were canceled because of the writer's strike, never to return. One of the interesting sort of sidebar stories from the writer's strike, Drew Barrymore announced on social media this week that her talk show is returning for season 4 on October 16th. But her 3 head writers have said, oh yeah, GFY, we won't be there. I want to ask you, now this all stems from the fact that when the strike was on, Drew decided to push forward with production against the request of the guild, against the request of the union. He decided, look, we have work to do. I need to push forward and get things ready for my new season. Mm-hmm. So our 3 head writers have decided they're not coming back. And the executive producers of the show responded by saying, we are now hiring for 3 head writers.
Like, fair.
Is this a hill that these people should die on? Like, as a union supporter, you go, yeah, fuck scabs. Yeah, fuck the people that don't support us when we're on strike. But then at the same time, you just played yourself. Now you're out of work, right? And head writer jobs don't come around every day.
But here's the thing. Is they will come around more and more often because more and more people are looking for work. There's more and more writers in these guilds. There's more and more actors in these guilds. And that's why the unions are getting to be so large that not everybody's able to get work. You know what I mean? So that everybody now is at the point where they're fighting for fucking jobs. Will people pick up those jobs? Absolutely they will. Will they regret working there in 6 months? Absolutely they will. You know,
it's hard to say. By all accounts, everyone was pretty happy working on that show. But going to work during a strike is going to piss a lot of people off.
Yeah, I'm sure it gets onto your nerves having to cross that line, you know, if that's what you choose to do.
You know, Ted, one thing I've thought about for a very long time when it comes to this, like we were talking with Murtz about how technology has changed everything in the last 2 decades, right? We've gone from VHS to digital everything. And now we've gone from you need cable packages and advanced cable packages to watch the shows and movies that you want to watch to now most people I know don't have cable TV anymore. They basically just have streaming platforms and watch everything. And if they do still have cable, they have it for one reason. And well, no, 2 reasons and 2 reasons only. The news,
porn,
and sports. No, you can get porn elsewhere. News and sports. And sports for the last 10 years, the number one revenue driver on cable TV, on live TV, because it's the only thing people still have to watch live.
Sure.
Nobody wants to watch the game.
But I think it's
last night.
Yeah, no, nobody's taping it on their DVRs unless, you know, whatever, because you've got your phones now. You've always got access through apps, right? So the biggest one is like pay-per-views and special live events. That's really what it boils down to. You know what I mean? Like
something
like pay-per-views and football season.
Totally. But even something as simple as a regular season game, like those things are revenue drivers, right?
Yep.
And you see the stories lately about the USA Network taking back Friday Night SmackDown for WWE and saying, we want this thing back because they want the ad revenue. Well, Amazon Prime is all over this. And I've been saying for a long time, the streaming platform, like Netflix is king of the streaming world, but the platform that really sinks their teeth into sports, live sports, is going to rule all. And you pulled up this story for me. Tell me about this.
Yeah, so it looks like, you know, for the longest time, DAZN was running a lot of the boxing stuff, right?
Yeah.
They had a deal with Canelo Alvarez, right? That clearly, as we're hearing now, that Al Heyman for PBC is reportedly in talk with Amazon Prime to have his guys, right? The current broadcaster is Showtime, and their Showtime is leaving the boxing business altogether. So it looks like Deontay Wilder fights, Canelo Alvarez fights, and Terrence Crawford fights. You know, you could be seeing these all on Amazon Prime. And I'm telling you right now, those are the 3 biggest names in boxing. So you bring those over to Amazon Prime, I mean, it's a moneymaker all day long, right?
Huge.
They tried this. Remember, they've even done it with NFL. Amazon Prime does it with NFL now. Like I think that's where they kind of dip their toe into it to see if they could do it, right?
Last weekend, I'm hanging out with my son, and he turns to me and says, like, he's surfing Disney Plus, and he goes, "Hey, there's an NFL game on Disney Plus." And I said, "There is?" "Yeah, the Jaguars Toy Story game." And I'm like, "What the hell's that?" And I realized it's like that thing we talked about on this show about 5-6 months ago, where the NHL did that live computer animation in real time with the game. So they did this for the NFL, except because it's NFL and not hockey. Instead of generic no-name cartoons, they used Toy Story, the actual characters from Toy Story. And you know what? I couldn't believe it. My kid doesn't give a rat's ass about NFL football. He sat there watching the game.
Yeah, because they did it in live time. They did something last year as well, if I'm not mistaken, with like Nickelodeon.
Oh,
They
I
did
don't know about
something,
that.
right? Yeah. So they aired some stuff there too. Like they're really trying to hit bigger markets and a lot younger markets too, because I mean, let's face it, in this day and age, on the amount of these people that have kids and they're home on those weekends, on those Sundays with those kids, or they're not, because we've spent the last how many years locked up. Every parent is taking these opportunities to get outside with their kids. So maybe not as many people are watching football. I don't know. Maybe it's a way to sell, specific jerseys. I don't know, but it's smart. It's smart marketing on their part to do this for sure.
I mean, ultimately, when you look at sports or sports entertainment, who's really marketing towards kids? Like the WWE does.
Yeah.
Right. NBA certainly does, although not as much as they did in the 90s when they used to have like their Saturday morning shows where they interviewed players and it was very kid friendly. That was brilliant. They don't do as much of that stuff anymore. Or like MLB used to do like inside baseball, like Sunday afternoons. They don't do shit like that anymore. So they stopped marketing to kids.
I think the UFC does. The UFC markets towards kids. Yeah. Well, because you look at the size of some of them and they're like no bigger than kids.
Yeah. Okay.
See how I segued for you?
Thank you. We have a goofy video waiting by. I want to see what this is. I think somebody sent this in. Oh. What's her name, Tid?
Weili Zhang. Zhang
UFC
Weili.
Fighter, right?
Yep, Zhang Weili. She is a 5'4", 115 pound champion, and that is Shaquille O'Neal, ladies and gentlemen. That is Shaquille O'Neal.
Can I see that again? She just single leg picked up Shaquille O'Neal.
Well, I mean, was that, or is that how she measures to see if his fucking dick is the same size as her forearm?
She's dick measuring?
Yep, that's what I think what just happened, and that's what shocked me or stunned at. Incredible.
He's literally half his height and a fraction of his weight.
Yeah. She weighs as much as his leg.
That's not an easy pickup from that position mechanically.
All about
right?
leverage. It's all about leverage.
For sure. Man. But at some point, physics is still saying he's a lot bigger.
1,000%.
Do we have another one sitting by there?
We do. We have you want to see the other video? Oh, that's
if we have it handy. If not, it's okay. I can just keep talking.
Nobody wants that.
Oh,
did you
watch this?
I had to look both ways before grabbing a snack.
Have you watched this one?
I mean, somebody right now is really getting their BMW messed up by a mini.
God. There's somebody, for anyone listening and not watching, by the way, you should be watching.
I like the fact that they're advertising a mushroom elixir in this store. Where is this? Oh,
this Honda Odyssey just drove through an Odyssey beverage sign.
Yep.
In a store. And then here comes the punchline.
Mushrooms, right?
No, here's the punchline. Look who gets out of the driver's seat.
Yeah.
It's an 11-year-old girl.
Who's all fucked up on that mushroom elixir drink, probably. Look at her eyes. Look at her eyes. She's guilty as shit.
You look at the comments here, and it's like, oh, if that was me, my parents would have murdered me, and all this. And I'm like, where are the parents?
Right? No kidding.
Not to be all uppity, but where they at?
That is, I mean, listen. What are you going to do, right? The kids go out and they do silly things like that. It could be, I mean, it's not as bad as, I don't know, stealing street signs. Remember when you used to do that as kids? You go and you'd steal like stop signs so you could have one in your room or something like that, or take it to a wrestling event. Some kids did, because they would show up at wrestling events that I was on. And I was like, where did you get this? I stole it off of a corner. So
You know what?
y'all are crazy.
I've never stolen a sign in my life, but
Really?
we have a mutual friend who has been on this show more than once.
Okay.
And she has a collection of stolen signs in her home.
Uh-huh.
She even has a TTC bus stop in her home.
Uh-huh. Wow. That's the one that she's posted on social media, you asshole. Way to dox her. Way to totally dox her.
I didn't say no names.
I mean, do you think she has one of these in her house though? Because there's a township trying to change the street name after the Harry Dick Road signs keep getting stolen.
Where is this? This is somewhere in Ontario, right?
Ontario, Canada. Yeah. Bonnechere Valley or something like that in Ontario. And apparently the guy, Ontario. John Henry Dick, was born there, and his entire family has lived on this street their entire lives since the 50s. Right. And so they got the street named after them. But apparently, once every 4 months or something like that, they say 4 times a year, people come and steal these signs. And they've even gone so far to prevent them, by greasing the pole, adding concrete, to the base. But nope, people keep stealing. My suggestion.
My favorite part of this story is the family got so irritated with people stealing the Harry Dick Road signs. They went on their own dime and installed security cameras. Crazy. And then the thieves stole the camera.
Yeah, they stole the camera too. That's what I was going to say. My suggestion would have been to electrify the poles. You know what I'm saying? Right? I mean, it's a little extreme to make sure that you're a kid who has a, Harry Dick Road sign.
Oh my God.
In your room. I mean,
did you legit steal road signs when you were a kid?
No. Not at all.
Yeah, Are you fucking
kidding me? Show up at my grandfather's place with a fucking road sign in my room, even if he saw it? No way.
Now, you know what I did do? I don't know if I should admit this, but I'll tell you something I did do.
Yeah, think about the statute of limitations, dummy.
When I was in high school, there was a guy who a bunch of us couldn't stand. Okay. And his father was running for local politics. I don't know what it wasn't mayor. It was a regional councilor or something. Okay. And so he had his name on these election signs everywhere, all over town. We all fucking hated this kid. He was an asshole. He was a rich kid with a douchebag attitude. So we went around town and picked up every single one we could find. And then we just dumped them all on his front lawn. All of them. There was not a sign to be found anywhere in the city.
I mean, crazier things have been dumped.
Yeah. I mean, we could have been way meaner.
Absolutely. You could have gotten yourself a semi-truck full of celery.
Oh, Jesus.
And dumped it in his yard.
Worst segue ever.
Best one, buddy. Watch this.
As if driving through Toronto traffic isn't bad enough. The other day I'm on the road and I hear on the news, we have an update right now on Highway 400. There is a truck turned over and there are several tons of celery spilled out onto Highway 400. Police are on scene. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Celery? Look at this video. The road is covered. There's 3 lanes of traffic covered in celery.
You know what the bigger question is? Look at the truck itself. That's just like a see-through grate on the side of it. This is how there's no boxes. There is not a single box in sight. This is how they ship your fucking celery. You filthy animals, you.
I know. It's so weird to see that. That's the kind of thing you imagine as a kid. They just throw all the shit on the back of the truck. There's no packaging, no nothing. And here it is.
Man.
This is something out of a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Celery spilled all over the highway.
It's something out of World War II. They just throw it all in the back of the truck and ship it off.
You need one giant swimming pool of French onion dip.
That is horrible stuff, man. I can't. Listen, it's bad enough that celery is bad enough. You know what I mean? But let alone knowing that you're just like at some point in your life, if you live in the area, you've had some of that celery, and chances are it never got washed once it got out of the truck and just got thrown into a fucking little tiny baggie and shipped to you. Like, that's horrible, man. I'm glad it's off the road. I'm glad it's out of the public's eye. That is like the greatest drug bust ever, Donnie. You get that stuff off the streets. Get that badass celery off of the fucking streets. You don't need that kind of shit.
When my son was about seven or 8 years old, I remember giving him a snack, and I cut up some celery sticks. And I'm sure he'd had it before when he was younger.
Piss you off?
No. I like celery, but I gave it to him, and he didn't have a conscious memory of eating celery previously. So he looks at these sticks and he says, "What does it taste like?" And I said, "Just try it and you tell me what it tastes like." So he tries a bite, and his 7-year-old brain is processing. And he looks at me and goes, "Crunchy water."
I mean, that is a spot on definition. And,
pretty good.
Description, I should say, of what celery is, because that's really all it is.
Crunchy water.
Crunchy water isn't something that, I mean, nope. Not a fan. Never been a big fan of celery. Nah. And I think it's probably a texture thing. You know what I mean? I don't like onions because it's a texture thing. I don't like that weird kind of that crunch in my mouth.
When I was a little one of my favorite snacks was a celery stalk slathered in fucking Cheese Whiz. Oh my god, that takes me back.
I wish it would. I wish it would take you back to the back of the car, and then somebody could just stick that thing in reverse. Ugh, really? Celery sticks and Cheese Whiz? That was your snack?
It was so good.
And you still love
you would do peanut butter. So basic.
Yeah, you know what I would do? I would use peanut butter, and I would substitute the celery for a spoon.
Playing the part of celery. A spoon.
Spoon. Exactly. Some bullshit. Celery coming in and
just eat your crunchy water and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, celery's like the fucking nerd that shows up at the party. You're like, "Oh, hey, we're having a great time," and here comes fucking celery. Turn down the fucking music. The nerd's here.
We got to wrap this up because I want to go watch the live episode of Big Brother. There is a episode launching tonight, season 2 of Loki. Don't look at me like that. It's a good show.
I watched season 1, I think. I just got caught up. I just got caught up on Gen V, to be honest with you.
You watched Loki, really?
Yeah, I think so. That was the one that had all of the imitation fucking Lokis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crocodile Loki and
yeah, it was pretty high, but I watched it.
That show would be fun high.
Here, spoiler alert, dumbass. All shows are fun high, except for reality TV.
Can I just say, as we go off the air,
sure.
Before we started this show, Kid showed me these little sour candies.
Mm-hmm.
He popped 125 milligrams of edible before doing this show. You are the most high functioning stoner I've ever known in my life, because I would be unconscious on the floor hugging a pillow.
Shout out to Joey Coco Diaz. I think that we need to get together and eat some edibles and have a chat.
All right, let's make that happen. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Tid. I'm Donnie. We are the Godfathers of podcasting. We'll see you next time.
Deuces. Oh yeah, I got to play that thing.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Mm-mm. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.